All right, guys, we are 10 weeks into this one arm pull-up challenge, and it is a struggle. However, we've got some good, we've got some bad, and we've got some, well, it's just grinding away. And I'm going to start right out with the good, which is the scalp. The scalp is feeling a whole lot better. I would virtually put it on the level of like it is rehabbed. The ways that I did that is the banded shoulder exercises, the two arm scalp pulls, because I was not really able to do the single arm scalp pulls anymore. That was the thing that I pulled it on, or it was a one arm pull up assisted movement. So the single arm scalp raises was just undoable. Definitely a solid, good exercise that I will be bringing back now, and that I am starting to bring back because it is a good one. However, wasn't able to do that. So it was two armed scalp pulls along with the banded shoulder exercises, the added Australian rows, and I believe another one that I was getting a lot of bang for the buck out of was the very, very stretched out pull when doing the knee up weighted rows, because I could just sense that the muscle was stretched out very, very far at the bottom position, and I would focus on squeezing the scalp up first and then following through with the pull. So I believe that that one also was like a key figure in rehabbing and building that scalp. So if you're starting out on this maneuver and you're going after the one arm pull up, I would start with those scalp type exercises to build a strong foundation right there, because it's just not even, I could do a ton of pull-ups before trying this one arm pull-up, and I still pulled out the scalp muscle off the rip. And it's just not really a muscle that gets worked in normal pull-up routine type exercises. So that's a key for you guys. I highly suggest that if you're going to start on this mission also. As you can tell, we are not wasting time. If you want to catch up on everything, you could check out the link over here. It will take you to a video that's going to, well, actually, it'll just take you to the playlist. It's a link to the playlist where you will have access to all of the videos I've posted so far chasing this one arm pull up. Now for that Russian training method. Now, I laid it out in like my last two videos, so I'm not going to go into the details of it again, but I'm going to say I thought I found the holy grail, and that system and program was going to take me to the promised land of building up that weighted pull-up to a weight where I would then be able to use the strength from that in order to help give me some added boost in getting this one arm pull-up. Because I do believe that that is very much a prerequisite of accomplishing the one arm pull-up, but it is not the goal. And I believe there's some technical issues that will get this one arm pull-up, or at least be able to help greatly without possibly having the full amount of strength. However, the way it was laid out, it has very quick increases in reps as you go through the workouts, like workout to workout. And I have hit a point where I'm at 70 pounds and I could pretty much do the required sets and reps with 4 reps. But when I've tried to jump to the 5 reps, it is just not wanting to work. Like, it's not very close on getting the 5th rep. So the only way I could figure out to go back after this is to kind of trash the full format of the actual progressions that it's saying to do, because it's just not really realistic. At least it's not realistic for me. Maybe it's realistic for you. Maybe it's realistic if you were a totally juiced out Russian dude. But that's not me. So for me, I'm going to go to employing all the old school tricks of dropping down in weight, going with more reps there, and then dropping down the reps and perhaps going after like doubles and singles at that higher weight, because I'm virtually positive I can make the jump to where I could probably do doubles or singles of 90 pounds now, which would, after accomplishing the the reps of 5 as prescribed with this Russian training method, I would then be able to make a 20-pound jump from the 70s up to 90 pounds for sets of 3 sets, 3 reps of 3 sets. However, since the 5s aren't working right, I believe I'm going to be able to basically get up to those 90s with just taking a little bit of a side route. Sometimes when it comes to the fitness, you've got the plan, but the plan's not working. And you can't just completely continue to beat your head against a plan that's not working right. You've got to just adjust, adapt, and keep on pushing. So that's what we're going to do on that guy right there. We are trashing that Russian method and making some adjustments. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the one-arm pull-up, not like weighted pull-ups going to a certain level. One-arm pull-up is the goal. You got to stay focused on the zenith of that mountain and know what your North Star really is. Now, because I have this scalp feeling better, it has opened up more exercises to me, which is mainly being able to chase more of the individual arm pulling exercises. So getting back to being able to work on the single arm scalp raises and being able to do the band assisted one arm pull-ups. And I'm starting to play a little bit with doing like ISO lockout holds and slightly negatives. Don't quite have the strength yet on the negatives. And I'm also working on more of like the top half holds, which is for me like getting into the single arm pull-up position just at the top, like kind of in like a locked out hold position, and then using my off arm to like cheat up and help it a little bit with doing reps, but trying to use like my off arm minimally as possible. So I'm able to start doing those techniques now since that scalp is feeling so much better. So those are some of the new windows that have opened to me. However, with the increased amount of single arm exercises I'm doing, especially the banded pulls, because almost all of the single arm banded pulls that I'm doing are like full on exertion. It is starting to feel like it's starting to put some wear on my elbow joints. So in order to nip that in the butt, I am going to drop down to probably 2 days a week with more work volume in each one of those 2 days, working the one arm pull-ups. That will also, though, give me more rest in between. So I'll be able to get more direct one arm pull-up stimulation as far as like movement specific training, with the benefit of added rest to hopefully help keep the elbows healthy, so I don't start having like another issue in the chain of issues that can go wrong with trying to chase this one arm pull up. So that's another plan. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys, these last 2 weeks out of this 10 weeks has been tough, mainly because of hitting this plateau on the Russian training method. It's like an aggravating feeling when you have it laid out and it's supposed to work like this and you're trying to get it and it's just not working. And I mean, I probably have hit my head against the wall more times than necessary on that movement, trying to get it, before being like, you know what, I got to make this adjustment. So, you can't sit there and get stuck. You've got to keep your eye on the ultimate goal and push for that, and realize that just this program as laid out it's just not going to work. So you can't get down about it. You got to just tweak it, adjust, and keep on moving. Keep on pushing, keep on driving and striving for that number one goal, which is getting this one arm pull up. And look to the bright side that right now, with the scalp feeling better, I'm able to now again start training specifically the movements for the single arm pull-up. And as we go along on this journey together, I will continue to give you guys as much feedback as possible on what I'm finding that's working, the things I'm seeing that are like key points. So if you go after this also, you'll know that like, okay, this is what I should do, because 100%, and I cannot possibly state this like enough, do the scalp work. Absolutely, positively, do the scalp work in the beginning. And also, another spot where I believe that I did slightly mess up with going after the Russian training method is instead of starting at like 25 pounds, I started like right off the rip at like 50 pounds and then worked through that portion of the program. Should have started at 25 pounds because it would have built a lot more volume, which would have built more muscle, and then gone to the 50 and then to the 70. By me starting right at the 50, because I knew like I could do it, I didn't have a whole ton of volume before I was into the 70s. And then I get through this, I'm getting up to the upper parts of the 70s where now it's time to like be doing those 5 reps. And I just don't have, I think, as enough of like the muscle that I would have built had I had that extra full week of the 25 pound. So that's another thing. And if you're not following what I'm saying, check out the link to the video. It'll go fully in depth into that Russian training method right here or over there, whatever, you'll see it. So, all right, my friends, thank you for being here. Here is a link to the last video in this series. I promise you, I'm going to get this one arm pull up. We're going to get it together. I very much appreciate you being on this journey with me. Peace, love, joy, and all that good stuff. Keep striving, my friends. You can accomplish more than you actually think you can. I guarantee you that.